Welcome to another episode of Keen's Revenue Podcast. This is Greg Dolan. I'm CEO and co-founder at Keen, and I have the pleasure of welcoming Len Ostroff, who is Executive Vice President of Sales and Partnerships for one of our valued partners, Crisp. Len, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Greg. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Awesome. Well, it'd be great if you can maybe start with giving us a little bit of background about yourself and Crisp. I think we have a really unique, very complementary value prop. So we'd love the audience to learn a little bit more about Crisp.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll spend 30 seconds on me and how I got here, because I think it's interesting. And then obviously the Crisp proposition and the partnership with Keen. So I've been in and around ad tech for 15 plus years. Most recently, I spent 6 years at Criteo, where I ran the supply and partnerships team there. So very large data sets, 5,000 plus partners and suppliers, $2 billion in annual spend. So very, very large, responsibilities. And one of the things that was always missing to me, and I could never really wrap my head around, is the advertising working? So at the bottom of the funnel, companies like Criteo, which is known for retargeting, at least legacy business, it was pretty obvious that a click led to a sale. But what were all of the markers that got that consumer to actually make that click and then make that sale? And how is that being accounted for? So, there's this whole 3 M's in terms of measurement, but the retargeting business really was a last click environment. And when I started to learn more about Crisp, and Crisp was founded by the two gentlemen who also founded TapAd. So their ad tech roots run very, very deep. We understood that and started to learn that retailers share a lot of data with their suppliers. However, there's no standard retail data format for the way the retailers share the data. So Walmart shares data one way, Kroger shares it another, Target shares it another. So if you are a multi-retailer CPG, making sense of that data for lots of things: supply chain management, demand planning, assortment planning, media and marketing, it becomes nearly impossible to pull all of that data together into a harmonized view that could then be made sense of by a BI team or a marketing team or a supply chain team. So what Crisp has built is a platform that does exactly that. So Crisp integrates into about 40 different retailer and distributor data platforms today, where we automate the ingestion of that data on a first-party basis on behalf of our CPG clients, and enable that data to be used by them for all of those different functions that I described, giving them a single source of truth across the entire organization.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, very, very much needed. I mean, I think you and I have talked in the past around how, we've been at this for 13 years. And, prior to that, data collection, even for traditional marketing mix, has always been really, really messy. So how do we, take all these disparate data sources, disparate retailers, to your point, and try to pull it all together into a comprehensive look at the business? And do it in a way that you can then analyze, right? And it was just such a heavy lift that I think inhibited a lot of folks from being able to leverage marketing mix and marketing analytics. So I think that's the beauty of our partnership. Now, 13 years later, there's solutions like Crisp that are doing the hard work of pulling all the information together in a way that can then be leveraged in an automated way into a platform like ours to be able to analyze it and then guide decisions for marketers and others within the organization as well. So really exciting. So let's talk a little bit about how the market has evolved over, say, the last 5 to 10 years, because everything is moving so quickly and the market's becoming so, from our world, the media and marketing side, just increased fragmentation, complexity. Talk a little bit about your perspective on how it's evolved and what the future might look like.
Yeah, so I'd like to say I was in retail media from the beginning of scale.
Mm,
So I would argue that the creators of retail media was a company called HookLogic, which
mm,
Criteo then acquired. So we worked very closely with them, and Criteo had always had a very close relationship with retailers, and started rolling out, essentially starting to scale the HookLogic business into what is now known as its retail media business. So I think they were first to market, and even though it was one company rolling out solutions to its retailer partners, every retailer wanted their own spin on it.
mhm,
What data am I going to share? What ad units am I going to allow? How am I going to run my marketplace self service? Am I going to run it programmatically? Is it all going to be IO? And that has created, I think you said it best, this incredibly fragmented solution, where if you're a marketer, you're a CPG marketer, I don't know how you make sense of all of that data that's available, and understand what is the ROI I'm getting without tools like Keen.
Amen. So, I think I always joke that when I started my marketing career in the late '90s, I basically had to decide between print, radio, and TV,
Yeah.
and now there's thousands of decisions that have to be made, basically every week, if not, every day, right? In terms of how marketers are allocating their resources. So, how has Crisp helped marketers basically reduce this complexity and make the data more usable, more actionable, et cetera?
Yeah. So I think what's important for people to understand about Crisp is we're a foundational enablement solution.
Hmm.
We are not building measurement. We're not a source of truth aside from what the retailer is providing to the CPG, and making that data available and actionable by the CPG and its partners, so that they can be, frankly, better suppliers, sell more products, make the retailers more money. Like that is our goal, is to it sounds trite, but the win win win, right? Everybody
Hmm.
in this environment is winning, and most importantly, the consumer, because they now have a product on shelf that they're able to buy. So, I think when you look at what marketers are doing with the data, it is from a let's take the marketing and media perspective. With all the fragmentation, the data that is coming from retailers is enabling them to understand where my investments in retail media being best, uh, where am I getting the greatest ROI? Where is that ROI also leaking positively into other retailers?
Hmm.
If I invest $1 here, here, and here, do I get $2 here, $3 here, and $1 here? Well, what if I did away with this dollar? Do I see increases here yet still maintain that dollar over here? So, we're not the arbiters of that. Keen would be doing that, but we supply the data that enable those decisions and outcomes to occur.
Absolutely, and I think that's becoming an increasingly popular use case for us within our platform because I think finally CPG organizations are starting to structure their organizations around omni-channel, which is helping them to look across all the different channels in a way to make sure that every dollar is being utilized in the right way. We've for the last 10, 15 years that hasn't been the case. So we've had sidecar organizations and centers of excellence that are running all these discrete areas of marketing, and now we're seeing that start to come together, and that's enabling the type of decisions that you're and analysis that you're talking about, because a dollar invested in Kroger is going to impact Kroger, but it's also going to potentially halo onto Amazon and Walmart and other retailers. So being able to look at it holistically and look at the portfolio effects of how you're investing your dollars and what the right spend is for retail media relative to everything else you could do with those dollars in terms of equity spending and other forms of campaigns that could drive the business. So I think that's the key for us in being able to leverage data that you guys would be able to provide in a way that allows us to then do the analysis within our system to help the marketers understand what's working, what's not, and then better, more importantly, start to optimize looking forward and holding those decisions accountable.
It's exactly right. And there's, I think about the data use cases in the three buckets of media. There's the planning, there's the activation, and the measurement. And if you're able to look back on 2 years of historical sales and say, oh, I know I ran promotions here, and here were the results. Let me plan my new campaign around this. Let me activate my campaign using segments so that I know that the products that I'm actually running the campaigns against are in stock in these particular markets, in these particular geos. And then ultimately, how do I measure the results of that via point of sale, and then be able to optimize in real time back to the activation? So products go in and out of stock all the time. So I think that we're just starting to scratch the surface on what the use cases and capabilities are. And I think when you look at, I'm gonna maybe take a little bit of a tangent, Greg. So feel free to
Sure,
keep me on target
let's
here.
do it.
But we it is crystal clear that third party cookies are going away, and that IDs are going to continue to get more and more compressed. So what is going to be that new ID? We believe it's going to be geo or zip code in some way, shape, or form, and that is going to be through IP geo reverse lookup. Of course, there's some clamping down on that occurring, but you're always going to be able to get the in-store and e-com sales data through the retailer, and the retailer needs to provide that to the supplier so they can manage their inventory. They know their sales velocity. They want to make sure there are enough on hands. And I think that starting to move towards an idealist solution that is no longer one-to-one, I think is really critical. As Google has already announced, they're starting to ramp up their privacy sandbox to 1% of traffic.
I mean, we've been preparing. We actually created our application with that end in sight, right? So, we don't need personal level data to be able to do what we do. So, I think that's a positive given where the world's going. But I do, I do want to. There's so much I want to unpack based on what you just said. But in terms of being able to, you know, enable this what I call the super app ecosystem, right? Where it's a continuous cycle of information coming into, your system that could be fed into our system, can be analyzed, and then feeds execution. And I think that then enables that virtuous circle of information, allows you to continually learn, which is
Yeah.
where I think where we're headed as an industry. And then from a geo perspective, we've been set up to analyze at any level based on data availability.
Mhm.
And what's limited our ability to get to lower levels like zip code based analysis is, marketers aren't making decisions at that level because a lot of times they don't have the information at that level. So
Yeah.
I think as things become more and more automated as well, we'll start to see more and more granularity in terms of the decisions marketers can make via the data, and be able to execute at that level as well.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Yeah, it's the more data does not necessarily mean more insights unless you're able to use that data, and
Right.
the planning, the activation, the measurement, and then optimizing across all three of those in near real time. I think marketing dollars, as we whether we soft land or not in 24, marketing is always needs to be more efficient. And I think that the solutions that we're discussing today just further enhance that.
So this is a big change, obviously, right? Based on how marketers had made decisions in the past and information they were able to utilize and action. What do you see as the biggest challenges that are facing marketers and the retailers that you guys work with as well, to really start to enable this type of kind of disruption that needs to occur? I think in the marketplace, given how things are continuing to progress.
Yeah, I think on the media side, it really is that transition from one-to-one targeting. I need to put this message in front of this person. They're my absolute target audience, and I want to be able to measure that and all the way through. That's gone, right?
Mm.
If it's not gone today, it's going to be gone. It's going to be gone soon enough. And I think there's going to be more of an emphasis on contextual advertising. There's going to be more of an emphasis on geo-based advertising, and moving away from the one-to-one and developing more cohort based. And when I say contextual, I don't, this is not the contextual from 2005 where, if you're on a sports page, here's your baseball mitt. There's a lot that's being done around, behind the scenes as well as directly on page to make contextual advertising much more relevant to the consumer. And I think the consumer is, I don't know about you, but if you've ever tried turning off third-party cookies or ever gone into incognito mode and you go just about your normal day, searching, surfing, doing whatever you're doing, the ads that come up are starkly irrelevant. So I do think
Right.
that consumers want relevant advertising, and frankly, it's the price to pay for a free and open web.
Right. What about from a retailer perspective? What do you think? How are they responding to how the market's evolving? I think our take is sometimes they're a little bit protective over their own data and use cases. And I think, even going back to the use case we just talked about where, hey, maybe a dollar gets taken away from Kroger and is given to Walmart. They generally don't really like that, right? They're trying to get more and more of the share of wallet. So just curious, your perspective on, how retailers are seeing this world and this evolution and what we might, be facing based on how it's continuing to evolve.
Yeah, I think that the loyalty data is the gold for the retailers. And to digress half a second here, I think we see that from Amazon today.
Hmm.
Right? Amazon are, like, I would argue, yes, they're a retailer, but the gross majority of their growth and profit comes from their ad business in AWS. And that means they are, by default, a data business.
Hmm.
And the exhaust of retail is feeding their data business and generating the growth for them. So if you're a retailer, I think that the loyalty data that you have is absolutely crucial. I think that there are other pieces of, other data such as sales data and inventory data that are important, but I don't think it's necessarily, it doesn't necessarily need to be held as close to the vest as others, because if a there's a lot about rising tides lift all boats, and I think that is true for a lot of the data that's available for CPGs to utilize in their media and marketing spend.
Got it. I mean, I think if everyone embraces the power of data, I think everyone gets, to your point, the win-win-win situation where, you're leveraging information that's helping, the brands and the retailers that lean in win in the marketplace,
Yeah.
versus the ones that are going to be flying blind. So curious. We talked a little bit about our partnership, but would love to just get your perspective on the power of the Crisp Keen partnership and what that means for the future.
Yeah, I think the future is really bright, and we're really pumped about this partnership because we are, again, as a data platform, we're not users or consumers of this data. We want to make this data as valuable and actionable for our CPG partners as possible. And when they work with Keen, they get all of the things that we talked about, all of the smarts that you and your team have already built into the measurement of these campaigns, and they get to further refine that measurement using best in class data. So I don't know how a CPG who is advertising, I don't know how they would operate without working with Keen, and leveraging the insights and the measurement capabilities to know where should I be putting that next dollar.
Awesome. What I know you manage partnerships for Chris, but what other kind of martech ad tech solutions are you looking to partner with, and how does that going to play into the greater good that we're looking to create in this super app kind of ecosystem that
Yeah.
drives businesses
Yeah.
forward.
So yeah, appreciate you asking. So certainly media and measurement makes a lot of sense. There's a lot on the planning side too.
Mm,
So those companies that are building out media plans, but it goes far beyond that. And when I joined Crisp, um, I had spent 15 years in ad tech. I love all my ad tech friends and partners and companies that I've worked with, made really great relationships there. But I also wanted to expand beyond that. So Crisp does work with lots of other partners. So there are retail analytics partners, there are
mm,
assortment planning partners, there are demand planning partners, there are assortment planning partners, there's supply chain partners. So essentially anybody who needs clean, high quality retail data, point of sale, inventory, supply chain, distribution center data can come to Crisp as a single source of truth and have that data be available across all functions within the organization through, we're a very open platform, meaning that we've integrated with every major cloud company out there natively. So whether it's AWS or GCP, Snowflake, Databricks, Azure, we act as a first party agent for our CPG. So they say send our, we want our data in our Azure data lake. Great. It gets sent in their Azure data lake, and then they can do whatever they want with it. Or we want you to integrate with our downstream assortment planning company.
mm.
Great. We can do that too. So, the use cases are pretty wide and varied, and it makes for an interesting day in my partnership life. That's for sure.
Awesome. But you guys are doing some amazing stuff. So congratulations and keep it up. And we're excited about where we could take this with you guys as well. Anything else you'd like our audience to know about kind of how you're seeing the world, and how Chris fits, and how our partnership might be able to kind of assist people going forward?
Yeah, I guess maybe we if this is closing, maybe we close with. I think that there will start to be some standardization across retail media that will make some of this easier, but you're never going to get every company out there to agree. And I don't think that there are going to be standards organizations that are going to mandate to a Target, a Walmart, a Kroger, this is how you need to share data. So, companies like Keen are going to be absolutely crucial to making sure that every dollar is spent wisely and efficiently and is able to be measured. I think I think we're going to move beyond, at least I certainly hope so, the attribute it to whoever you want to, John Wanamaker or whoever, half my media is wasted. I just don't know which half. I think we are rapidly moving away from that due to organization, Greg, like Keen.
That's great. I couldn't agree more. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased here, but I think given the scrutiny around every dollar now as well, it's that much more important, right? So marketers are having to justify every dollar that they're spending. So you have to have a system to be able to tangibly quantify each one of those dollars and the impact it's having on the business. So excited about your value prop and what you guys are doing in the market and what we could do together. Len, really appreciate the time having this conversation, and look forward to continuing our partnership and disrupting the world together.
I appreciate the invitation to come on, Greg. Always good to see you. And yeah, let's go. Let's go show people how to win.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Len.
Thanks.